And you can create as many as you want, or
I mean, yes, you can build as many as you want, but it is the sum of. If you have two machines running 24 hours, then it is 48 hours. That is how they count.
oh, okay, okay. That's what I want to know. All right, thank you.
Okay, good. So there was a mail from Minhas. So he actually opened a case with Amazon. Yeah, I think he used his billing option, and he got a response back from Amazon. This was regarding the new console. This is the new console, and he was still getting the old console. And that was an interesting email. The response. The thing is, Amazon is saying anybody is starting a new accounts, I think they're all getting new console. Those who have created their Amazon account some time back, Amazon is in the process of converting each of those users into the new console. There is nothing you can do to expedite it or something. You know, they're saying as they progress, eventually everybody will get the new console. So there is nothing you can do or I can do in order to get the new console or the old console, and there is no option to switch back between these consoles. Okay. So I hope everybody has account. Do you all have the new console, or a majority of you have old console? I think everybody should have a new console, right? Most of you.
Right.
Actually, I have an option of going back to and fro to the old console and new console, but not at the dashboard level, but at the services level. I had an option of opting in for the new one and opt out for the previous console.
Which level?
When you go to the service level, like EC2, there you have an option of going into the old and new level.
Where is that option?
When you launch an instance and go to, I can show you in S3. If you go to S3 and when you go for a bucket, there in the properties, you have an option of going in.
Okay, I'm in S3 and a bucket. This is the S3 bucket is not changed. It still look, for me, it looks like what I was seeing for the past 3 years. It is same.
Okay, if you go into the properties of any one of the bucket.
Okay, this is a bucket. Okay, and the property.
Yeah, click the property, and at the bottom for the, can you scroll on storage management? If you click the storage management.
Okay.
There you have an option of opt-in, so that will go to the new console and you can change it back to the old console again.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've seen this. This is the new thing. I think this is probably in a preview mode. That is why they are doing that. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But in the same apply to many consoles that you could switch to and fro.
Okay. Where do I switch back now?
You see the option when you go back to the bucket level. You should have a one right on the top. Yeah, switch to old console on the top.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let's continue from where we stopped. One thing also I confirmed about the key pair. We talked about key pair last class. You can have up to 50,000 key pairs if you want to. Okay. You can have up to 50,000 key pairs per region, and they are region specific. In fact, you know, Muthu was talking in the last class. So they are region specific, but you can have up to 50,000 key pairs if you want to. You can create in a region. One another thing somebody was asking, I was looking at something and I forgot what was the other question. There was a question that somebody was looking for an answer. Okay, Sumant is asking, what's the difference when we take an MI from the marketplace instead of a quick start? You know, the marketplace is basically, you know, marketplace is actually appliances or AMIs in the marketplace are basically from different vendors, and the billing is always happened through Amazon. We will look into marketplace a little later, but it is basically the billing. The customer, the company that made will get the money directly from them. It's instead of uh, Amazon is providing. So marketplace is for, you can have a custom AMI with your application, with your settings, and then you can sell it through marketplace. It's just like in an app store for iPhone. You have an Apple iPhone application, and you can sell it through Apple Store. And when somebody buy it, Apple get a cut of it. Just like that, when you buy it from Amazon Marketplace, Amazon will get a small cut, a small percentage of it, and then the rest will go to the customer. But when you run that instance or appliance from marketplace in the Amazon environment, of course Amazon is making money out of it, right? Because you're running in their infrastructure. All right, so let's move on. So we talked about creating instances. We created a Linux instance, we created a Windows instance, and I want to go through the properties of the instance today, and then we will move on with the topic. Hopefully by today or next class we'll be finishing off this instance thing. So I'm going to move forward. If you have questions, I think we will address that in the next class. So I think in last class, all right, let's go on with that. So let me go and deploy one more instance right now, a Windows instance. So this instance, you can see a Linux instance, and we know how to connect to a Linux instance. So I'm going to start this instance. You can right click on an instance as a state where you can start, stop, reboot, and terminate the instance. I think everybody know what are these three options. Terminate is a complete termination. Okay. Okay, Sridharma Kundur is having an issue. Sridhar, actually, I don't know the answer for that. Sridhar is saying he is launching an instance from a Windows instance from a Mac computer, and he is getting an error message. Now, I think I know the problem. In a Mac computer, RDP does not work, but there is a remote desktop client for Mac. So Sridharma, do you have a Mac RDP client installed on your Mac computer? First of all, that's the question. Do you have the RDP client, remote desktop client, installed on the Mac?
No, actually, I downloaded from the instance,
Okay.
like download the desktop file.
No, that won't work. So you have to install the remote desktop client for Mac. Okay, there is a Mac client for Mac. You download it, and then you use the IP address to connect. But you cannot use the normal connect option because that is the typical RDP client. That may not work. I never tried it, but I think that is a problem. So you have to get the RDP client for Mac first installed on your Mac computer, and then you get the username and password, and then use it manually. You start that RDP client and then connect.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try that.
Okay. So so instance, you can start an instance, you can stop an instance, you can reboot an instance, and then you can terminate an instance. Terminating an instance means you are completely deleting that instance. But when you terminate an instance, so you need to understand like this. When you create an instance, or it is just like a VM. Okay, you got to understand. So you are creating a VM. a virtual machine. Let me explain that in a little way, a different way with the VMware thing. Let me show you that, so that way I think you will get it a little more clear. Let me try to connect to a VMware ESX server. Hold on 1 second here. So this is a VMware ESX server. All right, so you can all see the screen, right? So this is a VMware ESX server, and in that ESX server I am going to create a new virtual machine. Okay, look at what I'm doing. I'm going to create as a test. I'm just creating one server, quick, fast. Okay. All right, I just created a VM. Okay, it errored out because there is no space. Give me 1 more second. Let me attempt one more time. Test. All right, so I created a test VM here. This is a VM. And if I go to the properties of that VM, you can see that that VM has a hard drive. I'm going to remove this hard disk. You look at this. I'm going to remove this hard disk. This hard disk is actually a file. And I told you, if you look at the properties of this VM, if you look at the properties of this VM, this is VMware. Don't even look at Amazon now. This is a VM, a virtual machine in VMware ESX server. If you go, there is a folder called test. Inside that folder, you will see all the files that are associated with that particular VM. You can see the files. Now, when you start a VM, you're going to see some more files. That is all VMware's properties. When you power on a VM for the first time, it creates a couple more files. There is a log file, there is a lock file, there is an NVRAM file, there is a swap file. All that files also get created. For example, if you look at my server 001, you can see some more files like the log file, the NVRAM file, there is a locking file, there's a swap file. These are some files, and I'm not going to talk about the details of what that files is, but anyway, quickly, a log file is nothing but a log that contains all the logging information, when what happens to the VM, when it powered on, who powered on, all that information will be there. NVRAM file is actually the BIOS of your VM. The VMDK file, look at the extension VMDK, that actually stands for virtual machine disk file. And you can see that the size of that is 100 GB, because that VM has a 100 gig hard drive. Like that, this new VM that we created, if you look at here, you can see that there is a test.vmdk file which is having a 40 gigabyte hard disk. Okay, so that is the file. So what I'm going to do is, that is actually the hard disk of the VM. Now that file is actually sitting on the real hard disk of the hypervisor. You know, the hypervisor's actual storage. This is where that file is created. So the hard disk is basically a part of this big storage from the storage array. So in Amazon also, can you tell me what is the hard disk of an instance? What do you call for it? In Amazon, the hard disk of an instance is called as what?
Volume.
Is volume, right? So a volume in Amazon is nothing but a file, but it is a real, it is actually using some real space in the storage, which is called as elastic block storage. We will look into that. So what I wanted to show you here is, see, I can actually remove this hard disk from this VM. Look at what happens. There's a hard disk here. I can remove it. When I click on remove, there are two options for me. One is detaching it, remove from virtual machine. Remove from virtual machine is like I have like this is how you need to look into that. When I'm removing it, I have a VM, and that VM is having a hard disk. So basically that hard disk is sitting in a storage array. It is sitting here as a file. And this file in VMware, it is called as a .vmdk file. So I have two options here now. One is remove from the VM. That means I can just detach it from here. When I detach it, that doesn't mean that I'm removing it from here. It will still remain here. That means I can attach it back, or I can attach it to another VM. If I have another VM, then I can attach this back to that VM. That is the advantage when you remove a virtual machine. So when you remove it from a VM, that doesn't mean that you are freeing up any hard disk space or anything, because the real file, that 40 gig or 100 gig file, still remains in the storage of the ESX server, not on the VM. It will still remain on the storage. But when you remove from the virtual machine and delete from the disk, if you select that option, you're completely deleting that file. You're removing it from here as well as you're deleting from here. So when in Amazon, when somebody say terminate a VM, when you're terminating a VM, it can terminate the VM, the shell itself, as well as the hard disk attached to it, or it will just remove the VM only, but the hard disk will remain there. So when you create a VM and you attach a volume, there is an option called terminate the disk or not. You might have seen that option, terminate the disk. If you have that keyboard checked, when you delete or terminate a VM, it will remove this hard disk also. If you do not have that option checked, it will not remove that hard disk. Okay. Just wanted to explain that. So I'll just show you what happens here. When I remove from virtual machine, this is what happens. See, I just removed that hard disk from the VM. So now if you look at this VM now, you will not see a hard disk here. There is no hard disk to this VM right now. But if you really look at the folder, you will see that hard disk is still there. See, I didn't delete that hard disk. It is still there. This is what that option is. Terminating a hard disk means you have to delete that. So look at now, I can attach. The advantage of that, I removed it. So if I want it back, I can always go back, add hard disk, next, and this time I'm not creating a new hard disk. I'm going to say use an existing hard disk, next, and then I can browse. I can find the storage. And I'll find that folder, and then I'll find that test hard disk. I can attach it back just like that. You see here that hard disk is attached back to the VM. So if I go back here now again, you can see that I have the hard disk back, the 40 gig is attached back. But if I go and remove this hard disk and select this option, it is a hard delete. I am not only just detaching, I am deleting that file itself. This is a hard delete, so keep that in mind. So when you terminate or when you delete a VM, see, delete from disk. That is the option. When you're deleting a VM, it's actually the option is delete from disk. That will delete the entire VM and the folder. So that is gone. So if you look at now that storage 002, you will not even see that folder. The entire thing is gone. Okay. So I just wanted to give you some idea on that. So that is the option. When you have a volume attached to an instance, you have an option whether you want to terminate the actual hard disk or you want to keep it. In certain cases, you may want to keep it because that may have your database, that may have some of your important files. So you don't want to remove. You can remove the VM or the instance, but you can still keep the hard disk. Okay. All right, so that is the option. So you can see the same options. Whatever you see here, you can also see from the Actions tab, Instance, Start the instance. So I'm going to start that instance and let it start. Now we'll go and...
But if you keep the, sorry, but if you keep the hard disk, we'll still be getting charged, right?
Yes, that is the thing. If you have a hard disk, that is why you really don't want, if it is not really wanted, you want to terminate the hard disk. If the hard disk is there, you will be getting charged for that. It is separate from the EC2 cost.
Even if it's a free tier?
A free tier, I think you have up to certain, I don't know, I forgot what is the capacity that they allow. I think in free tier
it's
also.
5 GB actually.
Yeah, it's more than 5 gig, they will be charging you for that. All right, so I'm going to launch an instance. we're going to launch a Windows 26 server. I'm going to use the general purpose T2 micro. I'm going to select my VPC here. I'm going to select my public subnet here. I'm going to give it an automatic IP address here, roles and all those things, shutdown behavior. We talked about all that. What is shutdown behavior? What is protect against accidental termination, we talked about in the last class. Next is actually the storage option. What happened? Default subnet not found.
You have to press enter the number 1 instance.
Okay. All right. So here is the option that this is what I was talking about. So the VM comes with the instance with a default root drive, and we'll talk about what is this root volume. There are 2 types, and we'll talk about that now. I know Ravi asked that question last class. So here is the option: delete on termination. EBS volumes persist independently from the running in the life of the EC2 instance. So that means as long as the instance is running, that hard disk is there. However, you can choose to automatically delete an EBS volume when the associated instance is terminated. So if this option is selected, when you terminate the instance, this volume, this 30 gig volume will be deleted. If you don't want it to be deleted, then you have to uncheck this. If you uncheck this, and then when you delete that instance, this volume will not be terminated. You getting what I'm saying? So you can attach this to another instance. That is this option here. Okay?
So how we delete that? Let's say, we uncheck the box and we want to go back and delete from storage. So do we have a location where
we'll be looking all that. So I just wanted to give, that is all we're going to look into it today. Okay, so this is an instance. So I'm actually going to add another volume to this. Another volume. So it is an EBS volume. I will talk about what is EBS volume today. It is called as elastic block storage. You can give a size. So I'm going to give it a size of 15 gigabyte. And there is an option delete on termination. I'm saying no, don't delete this particular thing. I don't want. If I want to be encrypted, I can encrypt it. We'll talk about encryption later. Amazon has something called as a key management service. Using that key management service, they will encrypt it. So any data that you store on this EBS volumes will be encrypted. That is called as the encryption of data at rest. When the data is sitting on a hard disk, it will be encrypted. So we have a second hard disk of 15 gig, but I just selected the option delete on termination is unchecked. So when I delete that instance, it is not going to terminate that hard disk. Okay. And then I click next. I'm going to call it as, server 002, just giving it a name. I am attaching a RDP firewall port. We'll talk about security groups when we get in there, but I have already some security groups here. So I could use anything that is existing here. I can use that, or I can use a new one. Let me see, created from external web server. So here, I will create a new one. I don't want to do that. So I'll create a RDP dash security group. And I'm also going to add the ICMP for pinging purpose. We will learn all this firewall thing as we move forward, okay? Let's not worry about that now. And I'm launching it. I'm using an existing key pair. We have the class 10 key pair here, so I'm going to use that, and I'm going to start that instance. So now we have 2 instances, the Linux instance and the server 2 instance. So let's look at this instance. It is getting built now. As you look at this instance, you can see the instance ID. You can see the instance type. If you come down a little bit, you can actually see the network card of that instance. That is called a network interface. If you click on that, you will see the properties of the network card. Hold on. You will see the properties of the, no, that's not the way I want to do it. I go up and I come down and I click here. So you can see the network card's property. It is called as ENI, Elastic Network Interface. It says what VPC it is. It says who is the owner. It says what is the private IP associated with it. It says the public IP associated with it. So there is actually a tab here. If you look here, you can see network interfaces. If you click on network interfaces, you can see all the network cards of the things. So you can see that there are network cards from different servers are here. A lot of things are here. These are from, some of them are from my old instances. So you can see that every network card has a ENI. So you can just create a network card, okay, and attach it to an instance also. If you want to have a second network card, you can create a network card here. I'm going to show you how to create a network card here. So you can just click here. You can call it as, you know, test NIC 001. And you can select, you know, a network card has to be part of a subnet or a VLAN. You may not understand what is VLAN, what is subnet at this point, so just don't worry about it. That is the network, because every network card should have an IP address and it should be attached to a particular network. So you can pick and choose any one of the network. I'm just putting that here. You can automatically assign a private IP, or you can type in an IP address. If you want, you can give an IP address. You can attach a security group to that. Don't worry about these things right now, but I'm just showing you here is that you can create a network card just like that here.
Deepu, like, is there a limitation on like how many network card we can have in an instance or something like that?
Yes. That's a good question. Yogender, just hold on with that and
Okay.
remind me in a minute, okay? I will answer that, and that's a very important question. There are limitations to how many network cards you can attach it, how many hard disk you can attach it, and then there are certain limitations for instances. We'll talk about that. So we just created an instance here. Where is that test we created? We should be having a name here. Here it is. This is the one that we just created, okay? This is the one that we just created. You can tag it. You can tag also. So I'm just going to create it in a test NIC. This is the NIC that we created. And if you look at this NIC and you come all the way to the other, you can see that it is available. That means this network card, not only that, you can see that there are other NIC cards also there. They are available. That means they are not attached to any instances. Whereas if you look at these ones, you can see that they are in use. They are attached to some servers. If you look at this one, this is the Windows server that we just RDP instance. You can see that you can always find it from the name of the instance. You can see that, you know, the Windows server that we just deployed, that is having IP address 20.0.10.20. That is the IP address of that network card. This is the public IP address of that network card. This is the instance that is attached to that network card. And this is the security group there. This is the thing. All that information is right there. This is that instance. But this is the test NIC that we created. So you can click on that and you can then attach that to an instance. So you select your instance. If you want to attach it to a Linux instance, you know, you can actually attach it to the Linux instance. So the Linux instance already has a network card. This is going to become the second thing. So this is the question that Yogender asked. How many network cards I can attach to an instance? How many network cards you can put it on a Windows server or a Linux server? Yeah. Go
How
ahead.
come we're not getting the Windows server here?
Okay, that's also a very good question. Okay, that's all. These are good questions. Okay, I mean that's the way you need to look at it. That's the way you need it. Why are you not seeing the Linux Windows instance here? I want to attach it to Windows. Now these things, Kashif, I am not going to get into it now. But when we talk, that's why I said the core of what we are learning now is just creating instance and the properties of an instance. But actually the power of Amazon's infrastructure, the main part of my course is actually the VPC, the virtual private cloud, designing that VPC, designing the networks and the subnets and all, and that is when you really understand these things. A quick answer to your question is this network card, so I'm not attaching it right now. This network card is actually in a subnet. You see that?
Okay, I got it now.
And
Okay.
it is actually in this availability zone. Maybe you look at it, the RDP, the new Windows server is actually in a different data center.
Right, that's fine.
So
Okay, I got it.
you're trying to attach a network card from one data center to a server in another data center. That is not possible, right? So you will understand this more when we design VPC. So quick answer to your question is the network card I created is in one availability zone. So you have a thing here. You have 3 availability zones here. Okay, I'm just drawing here. The Windows server is sitting here. The Linux server is sitting here in this data. That is how it is because Linux server is in 1-A availability zone and the Windows server I created is actually in 1-D. The network card I created is actually I created that network card here. So I cannot attach it to here. I can only attach to this server. If I build another server, Windows server here in this or any server, I can attach it to any one of them because it is in the same data center. Okay, that's why. So
does the same apply to volumes as well?
absolutely, that is the biggest thing. It is very, very important, and we will talk about that in the volumes. That's another very good question. Yes, absolutely, that's the same issue with volumes. If you have a volume created in availability zone B or in C, you cannot attach that volume to an instance in availability zone A. So you have to be very careful when you're creating volumes and things like that. Anyway,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm asking this question in standpoint of parallel computing. Like if you want to, do data replication, how does that work?
When you say data replication, I didn't understand what you mean by that.
I mean, if you want to, I mean, in terms of high availability, I mean, if you want the same data to be replicated across multiple instances in different regions, I mean, in different data centers.
Yeah, but that is nothing to do with it, right? But that is, you cannot attach it to one thing. Replicating, okay, we'll come back here. So I'll answer your question. So let's just imagine that this is 1-A and this is 1-B, okay? And let us say this is the EBS volume store. This is like the storage array. Okay, this is where the EBS volumes are. So I have a EBS volume here. I didn't talk about EBS, so just ignore if you don't understand what I'm talking. This is another EBS volume here. So you have an instance here, and you can attach this volume to here. You cannot attach this volume to this instance. So what do you mean by replicating thing or understand? If you want to replicate between high availability, if you're replicating, if you want to replicate, I would say you build another server here, attach this to here, and then you replicate the data between these two. This is possible. You cannot do the other way.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I was wondering if entire 1A goes down, something should be available.
No, right? No, that we'll see. There are different ways to get it. This you cannot. I understand what your question is. If you want to have 2 hard disks in the local data store, then you build another volume here and attach that volume to here, and then you can do the replication like that. But That's locally. It has to be in the same availability zone.
Dipu, I have a question here.
Yep.
When you in terms of like network card, like when you created that test network card, like is there like a particular step in the creation process that you assign the availability zone, or?
Yes, you create when you're creating. See here, when you're creating that network card, you're selecting a subnet. The subnet is what that defines which availability zone is. So I haven't taught what is subnets, so that is why you don't understand. But I am a subnet. You can only you cannot extend a subnet. A subnet can only reside in a data center, in an availability zone. You cannot have a subnet extended between two availability zones. So a subnet will always reside in an availability zone. So when you're selecting a subnet, you're actually selecting a availability zone.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Thanks.
So you can create NICs and you can attach it. That is what I am trying to tell you here. So let's go back to our instance again and look at our instance. So this is the one that we talked about. We were looking at server 2, and we were talking about this is the network card attached to that instance. So you can see that it is in this subnet. It will show you which subnet that network card is. It will be showing here where it is. It will show. I mean, I cannot see the subnet here, but looking at the IP address, I know which subnet it is. When we learn that, we will understand that. Okay. So this is how it is. So you can attach it. You can also detach it. You can detach a network card and attach a network card. Now let me go back to the question of Yogendra about instance limitations. AWS instance limits. Okay. So AWS service limits. I think if you go here, you can there's a lot of limits here for different things, but I'm just trying to find out instance one. Do you find anything about instances here? EC2.
So do we have to memorize all these limits in terms of certification?
No. Absolutely no. Nobody. They won't ask you all these things.
Certification point of view, I'm asking.
No. They won't. They won't. Let's see. Here it is. There is actually a good documentation for that. Hold on one second. Let me find out that. Let's go to instance types. I think each instance type will tell you, okay, how many network cards and all you can have it all on here. It will probably show you, see. There it is. AWS instance. Network card. Okay, network interface limits. I mean, Google can give you everything, so you just do elastic network interface limits. I think here it is. Okay, I'll send you this link in the chat if anybody wants to do that. But don't by heart these things, okay? These are not things you should know. That is stupid to Amazon to ask all these questions. That is questions that ask in kindergarten, how many apples are there? No, that they won't ask those questions here. It is for you to understand, but that was a very good question because I will tell you a very good reason for it. In my office environment, we use a checkpoint appliance from Amazon Marketplace. Checkpoint appliance. It is a instance running the checkpoint firewall appliance. Okay, it is a firewall appliance. This is a Linux-based instance. You know, a firewall definitely will have multiple network cards for different subnets and different things you can attach for, incoming traffic, outgoing traffic, for management traffic. You want to have everything separate. You don't want everything to be, you can have a one checkpoint firewall with one network card also, but that's not the thing. So when this is a real problem that I faced myself when I deploy this instance. I just select, you know what, for the pricing, this is during our POC time. I'm talking about 2.5 years back. For our POC, we were doing some proof of concept and we don't want to spend too much money. So when I deployed this instance, I selected something like T2 medium or something like that. And it worked. T2 medium, I was able to attach 2 network cards, but then as we are progressing more and more research on this, there was a time comes where I need to add a third network card. So it was 1, 2 was there, everything was good till that time. And then I need to add a third network card when we started doing more, started learning more about this thing. There was a time when myself and our networking security guy were discussing, and we came to know that we need to attach a third network card. And we went to the instance to attach a third network card. And you know that we can always attach a network card to an instance, right? You can go here, you can create a new network card just like this, and then you come and attach it. But when we tried to attach it, it was not attaching. It was not giving me the option to attach. It says there's a limit has happened. So that is what Yogender asked, is there any limit on how many network cards you can attach it? And that answer is right here, that thing. So here it is. So if you look here, you can see that, maximum network interface and IP addresses per interface, that is also there. I'm not going how many IP addresses you can attach to the thing. So if you have a C1 medium instance type, you can only have 2 network cards. So let's go and look at our T2 instances. Look at T2s. I know most of you will be deploying T2 micro, right? Which is T2 micro is what? That's our free tier, right? Everybody is using T2 micro. T2 micro can have only 2 network cards. It can only have 2 IP addresses. If you want to have 8 network cards or 4 network cards, you see that none of the T types, general purpose, has more than 3. The maximum you can get is 3. If you want to have 4, then you need to go for R type instances. You see that? So there are limitations on how many things, because that's how Amazon makes money. Okay, you want 4 network cards, I can give you, but then you go for a upper one. That means they make more money. I told you, they are very, very smart in the way they put the things. They know where to trap you. So now that there is a situation where you have to have a 4th network card and you want to do that here, it is not possible. Okay. So that's answer. Is that clear, Yogender?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So now we'll go to the volumes here. And we talked about volumes, and that is what I think will be probably we'll try to get into that today. Volumes are nothing but your hard disk. So you can see that the block devices, these are the 2 hard disks that is attached to the instance. If you click on the first one here, the root device, they show the same thing here, but these are the 2 hard drive, okay? Root device is where the operating system is. That is what a root device means. You don't, nothing more than that. But here it is block device. If you click on that, you can see that the block, the volume, the hard disk also has an ID. It is called as elastic block storage. It has a volume ID. It says what is the device type. It is EBS. And there is another type of device you can call as ephemeral storage. We will talk about ephemeral storage or instant storage. I think that is what Ravi asked in the last class. Okay, hey, I heard that when you shut down the instance, all the data in that will go, and I told you I will explain that in today's class. So you can see that this is attached time, it is attached. Delete on termination is true. What does that means? Anybody? Delete on termination true.
So
That means,
basically that volume will get deleted once you terminate the instance.
right. So that is the thing, and if you click on the properties of that volume, you will see the size of it. I will go there in a minute. So let's look at the second hard disk, and you see that delete on termination is false, and this is what we selected, right? Remember, we unchecked that button. This is the second hard disk, isn't it? So now when you click on this volume, it will take you straight to the volumes section, and you can see that the volumes are here, elastic block storage. The volumes are right there. So if you click on that, you will be taken straight to the volume section here. So you're in the volume section. You can see that 15 gig hard disk here, and you can see that it is attached to what server. If you want to detach it, you can right click here and you can say detach volume. I will be detaching it from that Windows server. You can attach it. So this is a filter here. That's why you're seeing only one hard disk. If I detach it, you can see there are quite some hard drives here, and you can see that the Linux server is attached to one 8 gig hard drive, which is a volume. The server 2, which is the Windows server, that has two hard disks attached to it. One is a 30 gig and one is the 15 gig. And there is a 10 gig hard drive. There is a 10 gig hard drive that is available. Now, if you look here, you can say that it is not attached to anything. But the question now is, can I attach this hard disk? Can I attach this hard disk to these servers? You cannot simply say that, because you need to know whether this hard disk is in the same availability zone as this VM. If this server is, let's say, this is your Amazon VPC environment. This is the 4 availability zones. Let's say this hard disk, this 10 gig hard disk is here in this availability zone. Okay. And the server 1, so server 2, this server is in here, and Linux server is here. Can you attach this hard disk to that?
No.
You cannot. So you got to find out whether it is there or not. So this is where tagging comes into picture. Very, very important. I strongly recommend always people to tag these hard drives. So first of all, I will go and tag this hard disk here. So I will call it as, server 002-C drive. So that is the C drive I know of that Windows server, and this is actually the D drive of the server. So I will tag it like this, and then I'll come here and I will tag this one is actually the root dash Linux.
Should we also write the
02.
availability zone name in there?
You can, that's all. You can absolutely, and everything has a tag. So you can go to it is just one tag. You can actually go and attach many tags. You can add up to 10 tags. So it's always you can search. Sometimes in my backup team do that, because they have to back up hundreds of volumes. Now when you learn now there are only 2 or 3 volumes, but in a large environment you're talking about hundreds of thousands of volumes, and it is very important. So you can actually just put your environment or availability zone here. It will show you all the volumes belongs to that thing. So you can tag them based on the tagging ID key value pair. Tagging is based on key value pair, right? So whatever you put, you can do that.
So what is the best practice here? Like, what do you guys normally type?
No, we do like this. We tag it. We tag them like the server names. We tag them with the environment name. We tag them
for the name. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't do. I mean, we don't do too many things. But I think your best practice is you should tag as much as possible. So I would say, this is something that people kind of ignore it initially. Oh, okay, I don't care. But the problem comes when you have large environments, and then you don't want to do accidentally. I have seen people detaching and deleting and terminating hard disks that they are not supposed to, because there was no proper tagging. You wanted to delete the D drive of server X, but you go and delete the D drive of server Y. And why that is happening? Because there is no proper tagging. So you have to be very careful with that. Okay. So here you have a hard disk. You can attach that volume. You can delete that volume. So I'm going to attach that volume. So you go here and you type here. So there is Linux is the only instance, because you can see that that volume is in US East 1-A. So you can attach it only to Linux 002, because it is in US 1-A. So it is not showing the availability zone here. I think that is because we are not selected here. You can actually select the availability zone here. It will tell you which availability zone that volume is, and it is here. You see that? Linux server is in 1A, and this hard disk that we have available is also in 1A. That is why you are able to attach it to Linux. You cannot attach it to server 2 because server 2 is in availability zone 1D. Is this clear for everybody? Now this is something that I would have talked a little later, but now that we talked, is this clear for everybody? You understand what
Yes.
is availability
Yes.
zone, what is, it's very, very important. This is the same case for network cards as well as for hard drives. Okay? So I can attach this to the Linux instance. So let's see what happens. So you pick here and Linux attach, it will come as a second drive for your Linux instance and attach it. So I'm attaching it. This should be fast actually, attaching. I don't know why it is taking time. So you can see that it is attaching there. It should be fast, but something. Okay, it is attached now. So now if you go to your instance here and click on that Linux instance, you will see 2 volumes attached here. You see here? So you can also detach it right from the instance or right from the AMI. You can go to the volume. You can come here and you can actually detach that volume and say detach it. So detaching means, are you deleting?
No, you are just detaching it from the
I am just
instance.
detaching it from the instance. So if you don't want that, but this means you are paying money for this 10 gig. Okay, you are paying for 10 gig, whether there is any data or not, or whether it is attached to an instance or not. Amazon doesn't care about it. As long as you have this hard disk here, you are using that. According to them, this space cannot be used by anybody, so Amazon will charge you for that. So that is why delete on termination is sometimes useful, because when you terminate, you don't forget it. Otherwise, people keep terminating instance and they never realize that they have so many volumes sitting there.
Deepa, I have a quick question here.
So one more minute. Let me just delete this volume. Deleting this volume means I'm permanently deleting that volume completely. So it is gone. So I'm terminating that. So it is actually gone now. You can see that it will be disappeared from there. Now I don't pay any money because it's gone. But gone means that's a hard delete. It's gone. Okay, hold on one second. Whoever had the question, I think there is a couple questions coming up here. Root device is the volume that comes. Yes, root device is the volume where your operating system, when you install an instance first time, that first hard disk is called as the root device. What we are doing now is more of adding volumes. Yes, you are adding another volume. You are adding a C drive and a D drive and an E drive and F drive to a existing instance. That's what you're doing. Okay, yeah, whose question next?
Yeah, I have a question here, Deepu. So the EVS storage is just used as like a hard disk?
Yes, EBS storage is an hard disk. We'll be looking at that in a few minutes.
Okay.
S3, S3 is an object storage. Vijay asked a question. Vijay is asking a question. What difference it makes from volumes to S3 storage? S3 storage is not a block level storage. It is an object level storage. Vijay, are you a NAS guy? You know NAS, NFS? Anybody know what an NFS volume is? So can you attach an NFS volume to a server and boot from that? You can mount an NFS volume, but NFS volume is just a file system, right? It is a file system based storage technology. It is not a block level storage. So you cannot use S3 to boot a server or attach it to a server as a hard disk. So S3 is a completely different type of storage where you can store file. It is just like a file share, So how do I show that? In a Windows server, you have a folder and you can share that folder, correct? But does that means that you can attach that folder to a server to boot? You cannot. You getting what I'm saying? So think in that way from a very high level perspective. Just think in that way. S3 is not a block level storage. S3 is an object level storage system. You cannot
It's like
attach S3 to an instance. That's it.
it's like a USB drive.
No, USB drive you can attach to a server and you can even boot from that. USB is not correct. It is just it's just a share or something like that. Think in this way, you cannot attach it for now. Okay. We'll learn S3. S3 is just for object storage. You can store the things, but you cannot attach to a server as a volume. Okay? You cannot use S3 bucket as a drive to a server. That is not possible. All right, so let's go to the instance, and now I wanted to talk some properties of the instance. So we talked about instance state, and the second option is actually the instance setting. I wanted to go through these things quickly before we move on to next topics. This is something that has been pending for quite some time. So here you can add edit tags. I'm not doing anything. You know what to do. Auto scaling group we will learn later, because auto scaling is a whole different topic itself. This is something that we learn towards the end of the class. What is auto scaling? Auto scaling, I talked about auto scaling a little bit on my demo class. When your website usage goes up, Amazon can automatically add servers, scale up and scale down. That is what is auto scaling is. It can automatically add more servers to the pool so that your application can perform well, and when there is low usage, it will remove the server. So we'll learn auto scaling later. Termination protection, when you launch a server, there is an option to check a box called termination protection, right? So if you have termination protection on, then can you terminate an instance?
No.
So this is termination protection. By default, you can see that it is disabled. That means I can terminate that instance just like that. But if I enable it, so right now if you look here, you can see that the termination protection is enabled. That means if I try to terminate this instance now, it will give me an error message. It says, are you sure you want to terminate? So it says that these instances are termination protection and will not be terminated. I cannot terminate it. If I want to terminate that, I have to go to the termination protection and I have to disable that, and then I can terminate the instance. So that is termination protection, a good safety measure. I would say you may want to enable that, your thing, okay? Change user data, this is something I'll talk when we do some automated deployments. I'm not talking about this now. These are some places where, startup parameters, when you deploy a server, okay? Think in this way. I am deploying a Windows server, starting a brand new Windows server. After that Windows server is deployed for the first time, and when it boots, when it is booting up, and after it finish booting, I want it to run two scripts. I wanted it to run a script called, I cannot do that here now, but you cannot do that. It is only showing that you can. So I'll show you how to do that. When you click a launch instance, look at what I'm doing. Next, here, I didn't talk about that. There is an advanced setting here. In the advanced setting section, I can provide as a text. This is like an unattended text file. Here I can say, start notepad.exe, and then I can say start command prompt exe, and then I can say, run abc dot MSC or something like that. I can run commands. So these are startup parameters you can pass. So when you learn automation, and when you learn DevOps, actually you will probably learn more about user data. So you can specify user data to configure an instance or run a configuration script during the launch of an instance. If you launch more than one instance at a time, the user data is available to all the instances in that reservation. So these are data that you can pass to an instance for automated instance. Those who know Windows probably know it's called bootstrapping. When you want to bootstrap, when you want to add commands, when you launch an instance, you want that instance to come up, and then you want that instance to join an active directory. You can pass that command here. You can run PowerShell scripts and all here as advanced user data details. You getting what I'm saying? So that is it. That is what this user data field is. If when you learn more about it, and when you get on to the advanced settings, you will probably start using it. That is what a user data setting means. So if your instance is having any user data, you can see that. Shutdown behavior, and I think you all know what is shutdown behavior. Can anybody tell me what is the default shutdown behavior when you launch an instance?
Stop.
Okay. Anybody else? Is that correct what he said?
Terminate or stop.
Okay. So shutdown behavior is terminate or stop. When you shut down an instance, what do you want to do? So if you look here, you can see that it is stop. That means if I shut down that server, it is going to stop the instance. It's not going to terminate the instance. So that is, these are just settings. I just wanted to go. Now, system log. So this instance, okay. This will give you kind of the logs, what this is very useful. There are certain drivers. If there is any, when your instance boots up, any instance, when it boots up, are there any boot related errors or things like, you want to know whether your instance is ready. You have an instance is launched. See here, this instance is up and running. It says checks 2 out of 2 passes, but you're trying to RDP to it. It is not connecting. Do you know what is the problem? It is not VMware. If it is VMware, you can always see the console here. You can see this is called the console of a VM. You can see the console of a VM. You can see what is the BIOS. You can actually go to the BIOS, or if it is a Windows operating system, you can actually look at the actual Windows server console. You can see here, and you can probably see the screen is up, and it is you can see the thing, and you can test it. This is called as a console of a VM. But unfortunately, Amazon will not allow, not only Amazon, I don't think any cloud provider will allow console access. You cannot see the console of any instances in Amazon, and I don't know why. I think they have some security concerns there, and they won't provide it. So you don't know whether the server is really up. You don't know, is it on a blue screen? Instance is up. The instance means the VM is up, but it is not booted completely. It may be just sitting in a hung stage. At that point, do you try to RDP? Will it work? So in order to know during the boot process, are there any problems? Are there any issues with that instance? You can get those details from this. Here it will tell you about what is the driver. This is very important. Anybody know VMware tools? What is VMware tools? Anybody know what a VMware tools is? Anybody? I think some of you guys know VMware, right? What is a VMware tools? None of you know VMware? Okay.
Yeah, it contains drivers and graphical utilities.
Correct. So a VMware tools is nothing but a set of drivers that can enhance the performance of your virtual machines. You don't need VMware tools on every VM. The VM will come up, it will have a network card driver, it will have a graphics driver, it will have a sound driver, it will have a mouse driver, it will have a certain other drivers also. But if you want the best of the best performance, VMware provides some additional drivers to enhance the networking capabilities, to enhance the visual capabilities and things like that. And those drivers are called VMware tools. So let me show you that. In a Windows VM, I will show you here. If I log into this Windows VM, I'm just showing in VMware what it is. if I log into this VM, what's the password? Okay, if you look into this VM now, let it load. So if you look here, there is something called as VMware tools. So this is actually VMware tools for Windows. It is nothing but a set of drivers. It runs as a service, and that service is actually providing. If you look at the device manager, device manager. Okay, you can see a device manager where you can see the drivers. For example, look at this hard disk driver. That's a VMware driver. You look at a processor. The processor does not show that. You can see a mouse driver. You can see that these are all VMware drivers. So this is all getting because of VMware tools. You can install VMware tools actually from here, install, upgrade VMware tools. VMware tools is nothing but a set of MSI files. You can install it. So it is just a set of drivers. So what I'm trying to tell you is similar to that, these are Zen servers. The Zen servers have similar tools. They are called Zen tools. Okay, they are called Zen tools. And the Zen tools has drivers for networks, drivers for storage, and they are called as AWS PV drivers. So AWS PV network drivers. It's very important, the latest one. It is, you need to actually upgrade these drivers and things like that. I'll show you how to do that and all when we learn more stuff inside an operating system. So you can update these drivers. So you can see that the drivers are what version of the driver it is using. What version of storage driver it is using, what is the EC2 config agents that is running. We'll learn about EC2. You can see the actual administrator's information, all that thing, and last it says Windows is ready to use. So if you don't see this message, that means your instance is not ready. That is what that means. So that log is very, very important. And the one good thing that Amazon recently added after so many years of people's request, people were asking, how do I know whether my server is really up? I want to see at least something about my server. So they just gave a something called as an instance screenshot. This is actually the screenshot of your instance, how it will look like. So you can see that this is how it looks. This is a screenshot, okay? This is not live. You can refresh this screen, but this is the actual console, but they will not give you access to the console. So by at least seeing this, you know that the server is up and running and it is standing in that Control-Alt-Delete screen. So this is probably a place where if you're having trouble connecting to an instance, you may want to go and look at this instance screenshot so that you can see at least your instance is good. So there are now the next thing is image and networking. I'm just skipping image for a minute here. Here also there is nothing much I can talk right now. Networking, change security groups. Security groups are what? What is security group? What is security group?
It's for the permission for the user. I think it's under like the identity access management.
It's not. It is the firewall. The firewall settings, right? It is the firewall settings. So if you have currently this firewall is attached to it, RDP, SG, this firewall has these rules, it has these rules, RDP and ICMP is attached to it. If you want to remove this and attach a new firewall, you can actually change the security group. You can pick and choose. You can attach multiple security groups also to a server. We will learn all that in the next class, how to attach multiple security groups. I didn't talk about security groups, but security group is nothing but a set of firewalls. You can attach and detach to an instance. You manage a private IP address. We talked about multiple IP addresses. So your server is having now currently one IP address. If you want to attach another IP address, you can assign it. See here, this is the, we have only one network card, correct? This is the one network card. It is in this subnet 20.0.10.0 subnet. That is why it got the IP address 20.0.10.20. Can this server get an IP address like 20.0.10.4 or 3 or 2?
No.
No.
Up to 4 is reserved, I told you, right? So anything from 5 you can get it up to 254. So you can assign a new IP address. You can say auto assign. Auto assign means the DHCP in that subnet will give another IP address, or you can assign your own IP address 20.0.10. Because you have to use the same subnet because this network card is in this subnet. So you have to have that subnet ID, the network ID, and then you can give an IP address like 88. That is possible. So you can attach the additional IP address. Can you attach another IP address to this?
It depends, I guess.
No.
Okay. Why no, Parik? Why you think it is no?
Because you said network card will have only two network cards, right? And each network card will have only one private IP.
No. So we looked at our instance type. Look here. What is our instance type?
T2.
It is a T2 micro, correct? Let's look at it. What is T2 micro? How many IP addresses you can have? You can have 2 network cards. You can have 2 IP addresses. So how many IP addresses at the maximum I can put on this server?
2.
I can do 4, correct? I can have 2 network
yeah.
cards, and each network card can have 2, correct? You guys understand? Each network card can have 2 networks. So I can have 2 network cards, so 2, each one can have 2, so 4, okay? Anyway, that's not a big thing, but that is how it is. So you can attach up to 2 IP addresses only per network card. Right now our server, this particular server only has one network card. This is the only one network card, so you can have another IP address, okay? Cool. So that is networking, and this is the monitoring. We'll talk about it, and then these are things. So I wanted to just take just a step back. I think somebody asked me a question. I did some more little research on that. Somebody asked me about this question about what is HVM. You know, that was good. That question made me to go and look at and read a little bit more about HVM. So there are 2 types. When you launch an instance, you will see virtualization type HVM, and sometimes you don't see any. Most of them are HVM, and there is something also sometimes you call as para virtual. See here, there is something called as para virtual. These are the only 2 types of virtualization types you get on a on an Amazon instance. When you launch an Amazon instance, the VM can be of 2 types. One is HVM. It is called as hardware virtual machine. HVM stands for hardware virtual machine, and para virtualize means PV driver or para virtual driver. That is a different type. This is the old legacy type. Nowadays nobody uses it. In the old days, people say, I was reading about it, so you can go and Google it and read about it. In the old days, they said para-virtual virtual machines are more faster and better. But now, according to Amazon's latest documentation, they say HVMs are much more faster and better. And booting and loading of a server using HVM is much more faster. So there is nothing you need to know more about it. HVM is the latest virtualization type. So most of the latest hard disk supports HVM thing. I think there is, you can probably do a quick Google AWS HVM versus para-virtual. Let's look at this here. So I think that is a blog. I mean, you should also try to read these blogs, okay? That is actually a good thing. So here it is. Linux AMI virtualization types. Linux Amazon virtualization uses one of the two types of virtualization. One is called para-virtual, or the other one is called hardware virtual machine, called as HVM. The main difference between PV and HVM AMIs is the way in which they boot, whether they can take advantage of special. So when you have a HVM based virtualization, you can take advantage of some of the networking and processor extension cap. Some of the processors can do some additional extensions and additional capabilities. So if you want to take those extension features and capabilities, your hardware should be HVM. It should be HVM type. If you use para-virtual, it is the old thing. So you can see that for best performance, we recommend that you use the current generation instance type, which is HVM AMIs, which when you launch. So if possible, I would strongly recommend to go with HVM based instances. Okay, and if you want to read, I will put this here if anybody wants to read more about it. It was an interesting topic. I didn't really know about this, but when I think somebody asked that question, I know it was a virtualized type. What is that?
I have asked that question.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Muthu. So that is the thing. This is how I learned some stuff. So I was reading this and it was very interesting. So I went keep on reading down. This was like 2 days back. I was going through it. So HVM AMIs, you can read all that. You can look through all these things, and they are talking about PV AMIs. What is PV is boot with a special type of group and things like that. So here is they are saying, para-virtual guest traditionally performed better with storage and network operations than HVM. Traditionally, in the past, they've performed better because they could leverage special drivers and things like that. But now they are saying, whereas now these PV drivers are available on HVM guest. So they are saying the PV drivers are also available on HVM guest. So operating system that, so it basically, it says the HVM guest can get the same or better performance than para-virtual guest. That is the underlying statement at the last. So the HVMs are definitely better than PV based virtualization at this point. Okay, I hope that is clear. So I just wanted to talk about that. Cool. All right, so any questions here, anybody so far?
Regarding the security groups, are those default security groups, or can we create custom security groups?
You can, we are creating custom at the same time. You can create, we will get into security groups a little later, Parik, okay? For now, just understand it is a firewall, but we will learn that in detail next class.
Actually, I have other question. I just put that in the chat.
Yeah, the answer is not. It is not possible to attach a network interface card to an instance which is not part of a NIC subnet. No, it is not possible. Network cards are part of a subnet. So if your server can see that subnet, then you can attach it. Otherwise, you cannot.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to move forward here. So we talked about instance. We did see, all know how to create instance. How to start, stop, delete, and all these instances. I just wanted to talk a little bit about these things quickly, and then we will move on to AMIs and bundle and all. I don't think we'll be able to do this today, but tomorrow we'll see. So I just wanted to talk, there are different type of instances. So let's go to Amazon, Google here, AWS instance types. And we did went to this place couple times here. Hold on one second, where is that? so many data. I don't see that. Let's see. Let's forget it. All right. So I just want to talk about different. I think here it will show. No. Okay. So there are different type of instances. You can see, this what instances when you launch, they are called dynamic instances. I think that was in instance pricing. Go ahead. Yeah. So here it is. So far we deployed instances. You can pick and choose, T2 or T1 or whatever instances, and they are actually dynamic instance or on-demand instances. And we did see the pricing of that. If you click on on-demand pricing, we did see all these prices, correct? How many Linux usage, what is the price of these instances? And this is calculated on an instance hourly price. Correct. And as I also said, this is rounded on an hour. Amazon does not have a minute by minute billing option. They have an hour per hour basis. Everything is an hourly based billing system in Amazon. So this is called, on-demand pricing. Just whatever you use it, you will get paid for it. But other than that, there is actually another called spot instances. So Amazon spot instances allow you to bid on a pair of Amazon. Look, read that line very carefully, okay? Amazon EC2 spot instances allow you to bid. So it's like a bidding on a spare Amazon EC2 computing capacity for up to 90% off on on-demand price. So that means you can have a spot instance which is 90% less than a on-demand price. That is great, correct? If an on-demand instance 1 hour price is $1, you can get a T2 same instance in spot for 10 cents. But it is very tricky. You simply cannot go and spot instances. It can go down unexpectedly. So your applications, these are used in Hadoop clusters and things like that, where if you lose 1 or 2 servers or 10 or 15 servers in a huge cluster, a 100 node Hadoop cluster, 10 servers, they are called as data nodes and all, in Hadoop cluster. If you lose at 10 data nodes, nothing happens to your Hadoop cluster. It will continue to process the data using the remaining 90 servers. In that kind of situations, spot instances are really good. So there are some, spot instances are recommended for applications that have flexible start and end times. That means it can go down anytime, it can come up anytime, but it should work. That means that this is where actually you have to be very good in DevOps. You know how to do that automation, how to, write your chef and all that scripts and all come up into picture, so that when your instance startup, all the required parameters will get loaded and the application comes up. And when it goes down, it goes down. So spot instances, there is a pricing. I will tell you. So what happens is spot instance in the story is this. Spot instance, you can go here, spot request. So when you go to the spot request, you can see there's some pricing history. So what happens is here, an instance is compute. It is nothing to do with storage. It is nothing to do with networking. It is compute. That is what an instance is. An EC2 instance is a compute. It is just CPU and memory. If that VM is running, if that instance is running, they're going to charge you for that compute. So let us just imagine like this, this Amazon around 10 a.m. On a Monday morning, okay, in Amazon Virginia region, they have so much of compute here. Let's say this is total compute capacity. Let's think like this is a bucket full of CPU and memory. So at 10 a.m. This is probably the usage. Everybody is using CPU and all this thing is pretty full. They don't have any more space. It's simply wasting there. Everybody is using the stuff here. But in the night when people all go off, people are intelligent, they write schedules, tasks and all, they shut down a lot of instances and all. Who knows, in the night probably from around 9 p.m. to morning 8 a.m. The free capacity is here. This is all free at that point. I'm just typing here. So Amazon is now using only this much capacity. This is what they are using from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. This is what they are using. So this is all waste, correct? These are all CPU. There are a lot of CPU. There is a lot of memory that is sitting here that is nobody's using. So Amazon is saying nobody is using this anyway, and I have this much capacity simply sitting there and going waste. So they came up with this idea, hey guys, you know what, I have something in the night. It is just like, you have an office and you use the office in the daytime, and nighttime nobody is using. You keep your office closed. But if somebody come and say, you know what, I have a, in India I think a lot of companies do that. Morning time, I have a friend of mine actually do that in Cochin. They have an office, they do development work in the morning, and they rent that office to a call center in the night. Isn't it great? For a cheaper price. So in the night, the call center guys will come and use those tables, use those PCs, use those everything, and they pay a rent. So pretty much, the rent for that building is 1,000 rupees. Now I can rent it to Muthu, saying, hey Muthu, you use it in the night, you just give me 300 rupees. It's good for me, right? And good for you, right? I'm getting 300 rupees just like that, and Muthu is getting a good deal out of it. You getting what I'm saying? And that is exactly what spot instances means. In this time, you can go and bid. Amazon will give you, depending on what amount of memory and CPU is available, you can go and bid, and they will give you compute from here for your instances. But the problem is when the usage go up and the free capacity goes down, your instant, the bid prices will go. When 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, when you have this much free space, the bid price for a T2 instance is probably 10 cents. But by morning 6 o'clock, people started powering on their servers, the bid price will now go to 20 cents. So at that point, if your bid price for this instance was 10 cents, what Amazon will, they don't tell you or anything, they just shut down that instance. So this is where you have to be flexible. You have to be careful that your instance can go down anytime when the bid value changes, but you can take advantage of it. Netflix, Uber and all take a lot of advantage of this, and also big pharmaceutical companies take advantage of. They do all their big batch processing. Batch processing is where you do a lot of analytics and analysis and things like that. I was actually watching one of a session from Pfizer. A guy from Pfizer was demonstrating in Amazon reInvent, talking about spot instance and how that company really benefit from spot instances. They do all their heavy lifting jobs in the night so that they can take advantage of spot instances. Instead of running 5 servers during business hours, they can run 50 of them in the night, and they can do their jobs completed faster and efficiently and quickly. Isn't it great? You understand what I'm trying to tell? I think I don't have to repeat again. Everybody is clear on what that spot instance means, right? It is like a bid thing, and you can go and do that, and that is what is spot instance is. But it is not the good option for a domain controller. You want that domain controller to be running all the time. It is not a good option for an application server. You want that application server to be running all the time. So if you go with a spot instance, what happens? When the spot price changes, your server goes down. and it is a big outage for you. So spot instances are not for that type of workloads. It is for batch processing and all, where your application is smart enough that losing one or two servers should not have any business impact. So you can actually go here. I'm not going to go through all this. I think you guys should explore that, read about it. You can go here and see some pricing history. Amazon shows you what is the T2 micro, or you can pick any one. You can look at so I think there is also certain types of instances are only available M4 extra large. In each availability zone. You can also all zones. You can see the different zones. So it is all showing in Virginia right now. So you can see that the bid pricing is actually, this was the pricing. It goes down, it comes up. So this is an average bid price. So if you want to bid it, you may want to put something. So if you just simply go and say, okay, you can go and say, so there is something called Spot Bid Advisor. You can get those advices from there and do it. Simply you go and bid it, it won't think. So you see here, I'm going to do something now, a bidding. Request a spot instance. So you can say request types. I'm just quickly going through this. These are explanatory. So I would say you guys definitely go and read some stuff. What I'm trying to give you is a good understanding of this, and then you need to read to understand the nitty-gritties of this. Okay, I think it doesn't make sense for me to spend too much time talking about what is that, what is this. I can do that, but then you will be a loser, because 45 hours I have to stop this class. I cannot do this for 80 hours. So please understand. But if you can go back and read and come back, then we can talk about it. So here is the thing, when you go to Spot Instance Launch Wizard, it is a bidding thing. You can see I submit a one-time Spot Instance request. You can request a fleet of servers. You can also say, what, hey, I need Spot instances for without interruption. See, that is also an option. This is a great option. They recently added. Now I told you Spot instances can go down, correct? But within the Spot instances, you can say, what, if you give me a Spot instance, then please don't shut it down for next 6 hours. It's called a Spot block. But now there is a little more price for that. But Amazon will guarantee that they will not shut down that server. Even if the bid price goes beyond your bid price, they still not shut down that server for 1 to 6 hours. The maximum you can get is 6 hours. So you can say, how many instances, you want 100 instances. You can say, hey, I need 100 instances for 2 hours. I want this particular type of Ubuntu server or Windows server, whatever it is, you can say that. And you can say what type of, you can see that, there is only certain type of instances are available. You cannot get T2 micro and all. It is only available certain. See, these are the only instance types that are available, C3 to C4. They are not fools. They're not going to give you too many T2 micros and all to do your job. But see the savings. They're saying, the Spot saying current price is actually 84% less. If you're going to run a C3 instance, the current, if you do it now, it is 84% less than the actual on-demand price. It won't charge. Once you bid it, it is the price. So you can actually, do that. You can see the pricing history here. You can do that. So that is what it is. You can select the network card. You can select which availability zone you want. You can do all that particular settings here in the thing. Once you do that, you can use automated bidding. So automated bidding means it will automatically go and bid. I think they will give you some pricing based on that with the current, what is the bid price. Or if you want, just like Ravi is asking, will they charge the increased bid price? Ravi is asking. So you can say, what, I need only if the price is this. If the price, you can look at the pricing history. I'm saying, okay, give me 100 of them if the price is 10 cents. If the bid price is more than 10 cents, then don't give me. But any time when the price hits, just like you do in eBay, if your price hits, you will get the product. So you can specify your maximum price, and you can say, if the maximum price is this, if this is the instance price, then give me 100 of them. If the price goes up, your instance will go down. You can do that, or you can do automated pricing. In that case, Amazon will give you the current pricing, and then you will be charged for that. So you can select an availability zone. I'm just trying to do this, okay? Subnet. I think I deleted all these subnets. Okay, that's why. Okay, it's not doing that. That's not good. All right, so you can go here and then you can select, attach a launch instant store. We'll talk about instant store in a minute. You can attach the hard disk volumes you want and other things, you want monitoring. Now it is just like the normal thing. You can attach your key pairs there, whatever you want. You can have auto scaling groups, you can have IP addresses, all these things, and you review it and you start it. I'm not going to do that, but is this clear for everybody? What is spot instances? Do I think I need it? But you have to explore it. Okay, it won't cost you a lot of money. I mean, money or anything. You should definitely try, but go through all these options and try to understand. And everything there is an eye, and Amazon is beautifully explaining what is what. So I think every option is clearly mentioned here with a good explanation there. Does that make sense to everybody? Review it, you get all your details of what you're going to do, your price, your key pair, whatever settings, and once you click it, is it going to launch an instance now or not?
No, it's not going to launch.
It will, it is request valid for 1 year. See, I'm putting a bid here and it is valid for 1 year. In 1 year, anytime my price reaches that, I will get it. So that is why you need to look at your current market price. You look at your current values and then make your decision. Okay. So I hope everybody is clear on that particular.
I have one question, Cherry. So, if you want to install any software, any additional software, is it supported on that?
All the things, everything is supported. Once your instance is supported, the instance is running in your VPC. You have complete control over it. You can do whatever you want. But the thing is, once it goes down, it goes down. Your data will be lost. Everything will be gone. Okay.
Do we get charged if we use Spot Bid Advisor?
No. I think no. I think it is just advice that they are showing your current price and things. This is advice that they are showing saving over on demand. If you do this frequency outbid, frequency of being outbid weekly outbidding, it is actually pretty much it is low. Nobody is using that much. You can see the different pricing. You can see that T1 micros are actually 62% less because I think many companies nowadays uses Docker and Docker containers and all. Dockers can run actually very well on micros and nanos. So I think that they're taking advantage of these things. That's why the pricing for these ones, T2 micros, are very less, high compared to other things. You can see that larger instances are giving you better price. Okay. And there is also FAQs for everything, and this is another thing, everything in Amazon has outstanding FAQs, and you go and read about that, okay, when you get a chance. So you should definitely do that FAQs. All right. I think time is running again. We're already reaching 10:46. I think I'm just talking a little too much. What do you think, guys? The pace is good, or do you think I can go a little more fast? What do you think?
A little more faster.
Okay, that is good. I think I'll go a little more faster. That's good. Everybody agree on that, right? I think some people might feel a little bit. I think that's okay. So next thing is faster. Every Kashif is saying faster. I think so. I'm talking too many things. All right, good. Let's go and talk about next is called reserved instances. Reserved instances is something where you can go and tell Amazon that, hey, you know what? I want to use this server for the next 2 years, or I wanted to use this server for next 3 years. You're committing a price, and then Amazon will give you a significant discount. It is just like you buying a contract for a support contract for your appliances in your house. If you do that for 1 year, it will be $100 a year. And if you're saying, you know what, if I do it for 3 years, they will say I can give you it for $225. You get a saving of $75. That is exactly what these reserved instances are. So you can go and see the reserved instance pricing and things like that. Okay. I think since you said it is faster, I'm just moving a little faster here. I think it is clearly understand, but I will show you all these things in a different place right now. I will go there, and I wanted to show you that. There is something called as AWS calculator. Anybody seen that? AWS calculator, very, very powerful tool. AWS pricing calculator. Okay, and this is a very, very important thing. Where is it? It should be somewhere here. Pricing calculator. I think I'm going to a different place. Here it is. No, not that. Oh, it should be in this itself.
I sent you a link. I don't know if that
Yeah,
is the correct one, but
yeah, that's the one. Yeah, calculator. Yep, that's the one. It is there. I don't know why it is not showing. So this is the AWS pricing calculator, guys. That's the one. This is the one. So I'll put this here for everybody.
Oh,
Kashif, can you please mute? Okay, so this is AWS pricing calculator. Very, very, very powerful tool, and we do that for all our calculations because I want to know how much it is going to cost me for that. So explore this. Here, I just wanted to show you how much it is going to cost me if I put certain servers. Okay, look at what I'm going to do. I just want to show, and you can send this, you can export this. It's outstanding. You can share it with your friends. You can share it with your manager. You don't have to go and put it in an Excel file and all. So this is the thing, I'm going to Virginia region. I want to add a server, so I'm going to say, app server 01. I wanted one server. I'm going to say it is going to be utilized for 100% time. I'm going to select whether it is Windows or Linux. So I'm going to say I want a Windows server. I'm going to say I'm going to use a T2 medium. You can select any one of them. So I'm going to select that. Okay. Close. So I just no, I selected that and then T2 medium. Okay, close and save. So do that. And the billing option, remember we talked about the different billing options. You can do an on-demand. So if you do on-demand, they are saying the yearly price is $570. But you can say these are called reserved instance types. You can say 1 year no upfront reserved. That means you're not paying any money upfront, but you're saying committed. I'm not giving any money upfront, but my price is going to come effective monthly price. So instead of $47, the price is only $41. But I can do a 3-year all. This is what actually we did recently for around 50 plus instances in our environment. 3-year, we know that we're going to use them for 3 years because we just launched a new application for a project. So 3-year upfront, we are paying everything full money. So you see the price difference. If I pay, I'm telling Amazon, hey, I will give you the full money for 3 years, and that price is $859. For what? For a Windows server, T2 medium, Windows server. For 3 years, the cost is $859. If I would have gone with on-demand pricing, for the 3 years, the price is $1,712. You see the difference, guys? That is the beauty of that thing. So here 3-year all upfront. So you can see that my pricing. Now then you want dedicated host. We didn't talk about dedicated host. Then you want to add a hard disk. So I'm going to say, app server 1 hard disk. So I'm going to say 1 volume, and I wanted to say I wanted it 100 gigabyte or 100 gig storage. I can specify my IOPS, I can specify my thing, I can say how many snapshots I'm going to use. Then you want to have an elastic IP address to that. You want to say, okay, I want 1 elastic IP address. You want to put your data transfer, you want to do load balancing. You can do all these things and click OK. If you do 3-year upfront price, basically that is it, and then you go for estimated pricing. You can see, and you can see that your total price is $872, and then they are doing some one-time tax payment, monthly payment, all that things. They are supporting, AWS free tier. There is no support. If you want, you can change your support, and this is actually the details that you put it. You do all these things. Your monthly price is $10. Your average price for 3 years is 872, and then you can click and share and share. You can just say report or something like that, and you just put your details. One app server XYZ. You can type all that description, and then you can say okay. It will give you a nice, beautiful link. And this is the link. You can get it. Now, I'm going to send this link to all of you guys. See, I just created a link. Can you all click on that link for me, please? I just put it on the chat window. Can you click on the link?
So this one question: this $10 is other than 850? I mean,
no, that is monthly price. They're saying it is just a monthly price for that. So are you all seeing the same exact thing that I am seeing here? This is the pricing, right? You can see the details, whatever I typed it, everything. I'm just sharing. You can share that to everybody. Can you all click on that calculator that I sent? It has all the information. You can now modify it.
no, it's not.
It's not?
Mine is blank.
It's a blank form.
I think you just shared the calculator link, Ripu.
What is that? No, you should have got the one that I sent you.
I think you didn't hit the copy button because it was already the previous one.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, class 10 report, test report for class 10. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to say save. Okay. Copy. Okay, now I send it. Look at that link now. Oh, the whole thing you need to copy, okay? Yeah, can you put that whole thing in your browser and see?
Yeah, we can see.
So you can see the same pricing that I send you, right?
Yep.
So this is beautiful, so you can modify, you can see exactly the price, you can upfront. So this pricing calculator is a very powerful tool, outstanding powerful tool, I would say, where you can really see what exactly your cost. So you will not have any surprise if you are going for a project, and this is all you need to give explanation. You are a cloud administrator and there is a project coming up, and you want to say, okay, these many servers are needed, these are the type of storage I want, this is the IOPS I need, this is the IP addresses I want, this many load balancers I want, all that things, and you can give them different options. So for, okay, 3-year upfront, this is the price. Now, if I'm going to change this to a on-demand pricing, you can say, can close and save and say, you know what, this is the on-demand price. Now you see on-demand price, the $10 monthly bill changed to $58 now. Now your total pricing has changed to here, on-demand pricing, monthly pricing is this. Okay.
Deepu, like I see there like the snapshot, it is like additional paid services if we want to
we haven't talked about snapshots and AMIs and all. I think we will be able to cover that only on next class. The next class, we cannot do that today. But yeah, we will talk. Snapshots are additional cost because that is going to store additional files, or in fact additional volumes, not volumes, snapshot volumes, I would say. It's going to store in S3 buckets. So there is a cost for it, yes. All right, so that is AWS calculator. I think you all got what that is. Ravi, you got to put that whole thing. I think at least somebody able to see that whole calculator, correct? Ravi is saying he's seeing an empty page. I'm not sure, but you should see that.
I need to copy the whole URL actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see whole thing.
Yeah, I think, Ravi, most of the people are saying they can see it, All right. Now, Karthik and all, are you there? Karthik and, many people, Anudeep, I only see only 2 or 3 people responding to the class. Others are following or they are all, how is it? You guys are getting, Karthik, you don't have any questions or anything? Sleeping? Okay. All right. I mean, I don't know. I have to ask you whether I'm fast, whether I'm stopped. You guys keep telling me, then only I can do. I don't know whether, you are understanding. Am I going slow? You have to tell and I will do like that. Okay. All right. So let's move on. It's already 11 o'clock. I just want to talk at least this and finish off. So the last topic is dedicated host, and we did discuss about dedicated host. Welcome to dedicated host. Now, if you want, why do you want a dedicated host? We talked about that. Can anybody tell me or what is the reason you want to have a dedicated host?
For some important data.
Yeah, I mean, if your concerns on sharing your instances with other servers, security concerns, that is when you wanted to do, dedicated host. But, the thing is, it is going to cost you a lot of money. Amazon is going to give you your own ESX servers. So Amazon EC2 dedicated host is a physical server with EC2 instance capacity dedicated for you to use and allows you to reliably launch EC2 instances on the same dedicated host over and over. So that means Amazon is going to give you a physical Zen server where you can launch instances. There is nobody else going to launch anything on there. So your instances are the only instances that are running there, and you can keep launching 10 or 15 or whatever. They don't care about it, And in that case, the feature allows you to minimize the licensing cost and bring your own license. You can bring your own. If your company is already having enterprise volume licensing with Microsoft and all, you can bring your licenses and you don't have to even pay for that. So that is basically, it's being, you can control the placements. So you can come here and you can allocate a host. So there are some things are there. When you do dedicated host, you cannot do any instance types. It only supports us these instance types. M4 large and above is only. So if you are looking for a T2 micro or T2 nano, you cannot run. So if you are going for a dedicated host, you have to start from M4 and above. Okay, you will not be getting the options to run every instance type that can be launched on this dedicated host. See here, that is the thing. If you are looking for I can have my own dedicated host and run 25 T2 instances. No, it's not possible. Amazon is going to charge you or going to allow you to have only this thing, and you can put it in a particular availability zone, which availability zone you want that server to be built, and how many servers you want, 1 or 2 or 3, and then you say allocate host. It is going to create a host. I have tried this once. I'm not going to do it. It will add some money to my billing, so I'm not going to do that. But once you allocate a host, then you can create an instance. When you create an instance, it will ask you whether you want to go it into your dedicated host or whether you want to put it on your, multi-tenant environment. Is it clear? I think we discussed about this earlier, so I think most of you understand what this whole thing is about, correct? So give it a try. I think, you can do it. I'm going to show you anyway. Insufficient remaining capacity, 1 minimum host. To place 1 of minimum host, error allocating. Okay, I don't know why. What is that? M4 large. Okay, this is actually purchase. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I don't know what it is. I think in that availability zone, it may not be supporting. Anyway, I'm not going to try that, but you understand the concept here of dedicated host. So in dedicated host reservation, you can actually, dedicated hosts also, I think you can get reservations. I think that is also purchase dedicated host reservation. Maybe you get a better pricing there. Also in the pricing calculator, in the pricing calculator, actually there is an option for, I believe, for dedicated host. So if you want to know how much it will cost you, you can actually go and do that. I think I did see there somewhere here. I think I don't know. It's not here.
The next row you have
I
below
think
that.
somewhere I did see earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is. So if you want a dedicated host, if you're going for one host and with M4 or P4 and all this, you can see that these are the different types of things that are available. And if you do that, and see, it is coming around 1,800 monthly. You see that? Estimated monthly price is $1,800. So if you go for a 3-year all upfront, I think the price will come to $100 a month. It's very cheap. If you're telling Amazon, hey, you know what, 3 years I'm going to use that host, you know, now the thing is 3 years you're stuck with it. Whatever the processor on it, whatever the memory on it, whatever the network card on it, there may be faster network cards coming in, faster processors coming in. Amazon may be releasing latest technologies, but no, you are stuck with it for 3 years. So you
Or you
keep
can
that also.
upscale.
Huh?
You can upscale.
You can probably try. I never tried it, but you could possibly, but there will be some money for it. I don't think it is, because these are physical servers they are giving for you, you know. They have to buy or they have to provision, it is not a VM, it is a physical server they have to get for you and put it in a rack. So, but you know, it's already there, you know, it's automatically spinning up for you, but you know, I don't think they want to give that to somebody else. Yeah, I mean, Yogendra, VMware training, you know, see, now itself I am busy.
Yeah.
So I used to do VMware training for 10 years. And last 1.5 to 2 years, my VMware training frequency has come down. You know, last year I did only like 2 trainings because so many people were asking me. So far this year, no plans to do a VMware class. I might do. But the VMware class, you know, it is a little more advanced class where, you know, we go more deeper into DRS and clusters and other things.
So like it's like a troubleshooting also like covered to some extent on both like VMs and ESXi.
No, see, you know VMware, that is why you're asking troubleshooting, but you know, when people coming to learn that thing, you know, they wanted to first learn the things to troubleshoot, right?
No, I don't know VM actually. I mean, like I want to learn both, like VM and like troubleshooting part, both. You know,
Troubleshooting is something, you know, I don't think anyone can teach troubleshooting. You know, here also, you know, when you run into issues, we figuring out the problem. I don't know. I mean, there is nothing called troubleshooting class, right? I mean, VMware has a course like that, but that is all, you know, fake. They just say, you know, but I will show some, you know, I can show things to look at it. That's it. How can you do a troubleshooting class? Ashwini, I think you are blowing out something, man. Did it go?
Hello.
Yep.
Can you click on dedicated host?
Sorry, Nasredi, what is that?
Can you click on dedicated host?
Okay.
Yeah. After that, scroll down. Yeah, allocate a host. Click on it. Just for a while. Allocate a host. Yeah. What is it? AWS command line interface command.
Yeah, we will be talking. Command line interface is AWS CLI. We will be getting into that. You know, that is where that is the console is one way of managing it. Command line interface is completely automation. So we will be doing that with once you create. You know, I haven't started it because I need to create user accounts. We will be looking into CLI, and that is where you can do a lot of commands. You can create instances. You can do so many things from command line.
We can also operate all these
Absolutely, absolutely. Everything can be done through command line interface. But you know, that is like the advanced, you know, you need to really know that, you know, but there is powerful tools and I mean, commands are available where you can create instances.
What kind of language we use in there?
It is just, you know, AWS CLI command line guides are there. It is just basically, you know, commands. It is not any script or anything. You can run scripts also there. You know, when you run, you know, you can run, you know, certain it is AWS, you know, I'll just show you quickly. AWS CLI is just a command line thing. It is basically you can run commands like this here. So it's basically you can say you can run commands, you can run scripts, whatever you want you can run there using the scripts. You can create functions. I don't know. These are all if you're a DevOps guy, you can definitely do a lot of things. But with the command line, I will show you how to create instances, how you can create security groups and things like that. But in order to connect to command line and all, you need to have something called as you need to create IAM users. And once you create a user, the user will have something called as an access key. You cannot use any password or anything. So basically, you need to have an access key, and so here you need to create an access key and a secret key, and you're passing those parameters to connect to that. And once you pass that, you will be basically you're connecting to the command line, and then you're connecting to Amazon console through the backend.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, we will be using that. I'll show you how to connect to command line. I won't be doing too many things on that, but I will definitely connecting to that, and we will show you how to connect to command line. And you can pretty much do everything you do here using CLI.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Okay. You can also do some PowerShell thing. If you know PowerShell, Amazon also support PowerShell. There is a PowerShell module you can download, and you can connect to do that also. And then if you are a programmer, there is also Amazon APIs. You can write, there are different methods to connect
Python.
to. You can do a lot of things to connect to.
Okay.
This is all going different ways. Yeah, that's fine. So you can actually use different options. All right, so I think we'll stop here, guys. We will continue in the next class where we will continue with EBS. I thought of doing EBS, so I will go a little more fast. I think now you guys are all getting a feel of what it is. So we will be able to move a little more faster. We will continue with AMIs, how to create images, how to create volumes and snapshots, how we can move that, and then we'll talk about security groups and things like that. And load balancers and all we'll learn a little later once you understand all the things. So this is a new thing that I am learning. I don't know what it is. This is something that just added system manager, and this is just something added for monitoring. Okay, so we'll stop here. Yeah.
We'll be getting the videos for last class and today's class tomorrow? Or?
Yeah, I will send the videos now to all of you. Okay. Yesterday's video, today's video tomorrow I'll send it. So there's no class tomorrow. We'll have next class on Sunday, but next week we have class every day. Okay, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday class. There is no class on Friday and Saturday. Okay, so the next class is only on Sunday.
Okay.
All right. So thank you guys and good night. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah, Sai Kuri, you there, Sai Kuri?